Hello, this is Akiva Johnson. Yes, that Akiva Johnson, the one that wrote the book The Protectors. Book one is Child of the Prophecy. I've had a very interesting month of November, and now we're hitting in the middle part of November, and we're chasing down Turkey Day and Black Friday and all these different things like that. And I just wanted to talk to you guys. It's been a hell of a year in a very good way. Releasing my first book available on download on Amazon has been like this. Whoa. For me, it has been so awesome to finally be doing what I wanted to do all these years. Um, I'm still not at the level that I want to be at, but I feel like that's a constant growth and a constant keep me on my toes kind of moving forward thing in my life. And I need to be constantly making improvements. This just gives me a good gauge of where I'm starting and where I want to finish up. But I wanted to talk to you guys briefly because in this season, the fall season, I have had a lot of experience that kind of linked together. And then I received an email quite recently that kind of tied it all together and made me feel as though we were maybe in the climate where it was appropriate for me to do such a video. Now, anybody who's ever watched any of my videos or read my book might noticed one thing about my style of writing, or several things, perhaps. Um, One is that I'm a sci-fi writer. I like fiction, science fiction, fantasy kind of deal. My first book is a science fiction fantasy, and it's that's the first thing. Second thing about it is it's extremely diverse. Even reading the book for a short period of time, you notice that there's characters from all over the world, all different backgrounds, all ages, and people of different abilities. Um, and I wanted to introduce that to you because I wanted you guys to understand that to me, um, the age, the race, the physical ability didn't matter because I started noticing how people compensate for anything that's going on as far as physical abilities. So I threw in a couple of people that were somewhat like persons I've met who had to come overcome diversities of physical nature, like permanently seated people, or that's what I call wheelchair bound person. I like permanently seated a little better than wheelchair bound because it sounds as if you're strapped to a wheelchair. And I imagine somebody in leather whipping away at you. They bound you. But that's how my brain works. So it helps me to say permanently seated. And I heard a friend of mine use that phrase, and I said, I'm keeping that phrase. I like it. Um, that same friend also said vertically challenged. Um, so I put in someone who was permanently seated. Um, in my book, I put in all different ethnic groups. I put in older people, extremely old people, really young people. I even had a couple of old people kick ass in my book. I said ass. I had a couple of kick bootay. Uh, if you say it with that accent, it's fancy. Or as me and Kat like to say, Francie. um, but we I try to put in a lot of different things like that because that's how I wanted to present myself to the world. I grew up in the Star Trek era, and let me tell you what I got out of that. I grew up in Southern California, okay? And we moved quite a bit. Um, which has its pluses and minuses, but that's not what the video is about. What the video is about is me wanting to explain the diversity of my life and why I am the way I am and why my writing is the style that it is. Because ultimately, your writing, like as in any art form, is a direct reflection on your life and your experiences, your hopes and your dreams, and how you see yourself and how you see the world. So, coming from Southern California, anybody who's ever lived in Southern California know that it's like the United Nations, depending on which part of Southern California you're in. So I've grown up around Hispanics, blacks, whites, Samoans. I can curse in every language. Every part of Asia there is. Every country in Asia is represented in Southern California. The Pacific Islands, everybody lands in Southern California. There's a representation of every types of people in Southern California. So I loved it. I never realized the rest of the world was not diverse. Okay. Until I became an adult and start branching out and was like, oh my gosh, I just see one type of people. That's weird to me to not see a representation of everything. So, and I grew up with a mom who watched Star Trek. So I had this weird sense that everybody of every race, everywhere could actually come together and figure out how to make this universe of ours super duper awesome and overcome all these challenges. And it wouldn't matter if you were Samoan or black or Mexican or Indian or Native American, or whatever your ethnic background is. It wouldn't matter if you were some old person or somebody very young. Everybody got an opportunity to voice and to help, and they brought something to the table that helped the captain and the crew figure out this problem that was in that particular episode. So I came around thinking that it took everybody to make this world a better place. So, in fallen witness to some recent acts of racism, directed sort of at me. I'm saying sort of, but yeah, at me. And I give you three things. Oh, I just really need to do my nails. I didn't notice until I poked them up at the camera and realized, I hate people with half paint on. Either put the nail polish on or take it off. Oh, and I'm that person. But okay, three instances that I'll give you as a real quick catch me up so you can understand my response to this email that I recently received. Okay, so first thing is I got called the N word loudly and in public when I was out shopping very recently. That was the first one. Second one is I got called. I was referred to as kind of being racist or something like that by somebody who isn't of the same race as me, and I was like, I was so flabbergasted because I really consider myself very diverse. And I was like, you've never been to any of my parties, because if you had, you would have known everybody there is something that's not even me necessarily. So I was so like offended that somebody would go there with me because I consider myself so diverse just because of the way I was raised and in the neighborhoods that I was raised in. You really couldn't be too darn racist growing up in the areas that grew up in because there was too many people to hate. It would have been too many people to hate. So, and I don't have that kind of energy. It takes a lot of energy to hate somebody. It really does. And I really don't have that kind of energy or focus. I don't have that kind of attention span to hate, because I'll forget I'm supposed to hate you and then I'll start telling you a joke, because I don't have that kind of energy or that kind of devotion to negativity, I should say. So I got called a racist name, and then I was told that I'm a racist. And then I walked in on a racist joke being said about somebody of my ethnic background. Did I say background? um, Somebody of my background. I walked in on a racist joke of some persons saying jokes about people like me, and it hurt my feelings. And I was like, wow. And then, I received, so in the let me see, what's the best way of saying that? In the heat of all of this happening, these different introductions to uh, inequality and racial judgments and stuff like that, I received an email from a person of African American background, same as myself, and I think it was intended on being enlightening and kind, but I didn't. All right. I think it had positive intentions, and I did not receive it positively. I received it as just another form of trying to tell me who I have to be because I'm black. I have been perceived as being um, a more negative person than I am because of my ethnic background. I have been perceived um, as an African American woman, and it feels so weird for me to have this conversation on this media because I'm never talking about this. Just because I don't talk about it, it doesn't mean I do not see it and it does not happen, but I don't give it energy usually. As an African American woman, I get perceived in a lot of different ways that don't correctly um, represent who I am as a human being and how I feel about myself as a human being. Okay. And I really was having a hard time with just all these little things coming together. And those are the three things that I mentioned. But it's been a slew of things happening in recent time for me. But this email, I think, meant to make me feel, um, I think it was meant to be enlightening. But it basically said that the reason why, oh, congratulations on my book, it started off, which is a positive thing to say to someone. Congratulations on your book. I hope you do well. Um, and then it went on to say that, don't I think that as an African American writer, I should have took the opportunity to write a black story. And maybe my book would do better if I wrote a a black storybook, like tell a black story. And I kind of was like, what? Because to me, I think it was meant to empower me as a young black person. However, what it made me feel like is that even though we're of the same ethnic background, you're just another person trying to tell me what I have to be because of my skin color. And you're just another person who think that because I'm a black woman writer, I have this story specifically to tell. And this specific path is the only one I'm allowed to be on. Okay? And I feel like as an African American woman, what we should be is encouraging each other to tell whatever story we find to be true and what story we want to tell. For example, I want to tell the story of everybody, of every background, of every age, and all that stuff. We can come together and be the hope and dream of what we said we wanted America to be. We don't have to be the ones who think, uh, as a black person, this is what I have to do. As a Mexican person, these are the things I'm allowed to do. As a Chinese or anybody of Asian background, this is what is expected and what I have to do and be because of that background. I can't choose anything outside of what you think I ought to be based on the color of my skin, the texture of my hair, or any of that other stuff because I can only be in this certain little box. I found that to be troubling coming from someone of my own background. And by own background, I'm being extremely general. I don't know this person oh so well that I can say we have similar backgrounds other than the fact that we're both African American women, um, similar in age. As an African American woman, similar in age to me, I would hope that what you want to tell your daughters and your sons is you can do anything. Don't let nobody tell you you can't do something based on your race, based on your gender, based on anything. Don't let that world out there try to populate you into one little box and say, this is what your population of people is allowed to do, can do, and will do. Okay? I would think that as an African American of my age, female, we have overcome and yet not quite overcame everything out there. We have been through so much as a people that you should feel not only have we overcome so many struggles, but that put on your super cape because there's still a lot more to be done. But I feel like as though me writing a book where I'm saying, look at all these people working together, I feel as though as an African American female, you should be saying, I liked seeing strong women leads. I liked seeing white people, black people, Chinese people, people of every background working together and nobody being over anybody else based on their gender and based on this, that, or the other. I would think that seeing such great diversity would inspire you to tell your children, okay, look, you can be great. This is greatness. Greatness is when we come so far as a people in this country where it doesn't matter that you are that or this or whatnot, that you can be that growing up watching a show like Star Trek and seeing people uh, with different sexual orientation, of different um, ethnic backgrounds, with different, um, just different types of people in so many different ways. Having all these different nationalities, different sexual preferences, different genders, all working together and creating the Starship Enterprises, boldly going where no man has gone before, just stretching out into the universe, exploring, learning, sharing, helping themselves, each other, educating themselves and each other, and just going forth into the world. That's what I wanted to show. Look, it doesn't matter you're a girl, you're a boy, you're gay, you're straight, you're black, you're Mexican. Everybody has the right to work as hard as they can, and not only just to work that hard, but then present themselves and go forth into this world and create whatever dream that they have, and that me, Akiba Johnson, the black writer, do not have the right to say that as a Hispanic or Latin person, you don't have the right to dream this. You see what I'm saying? This right here, in this little box right here, that's not a Hispanic Latin American dream. This right here is a Asian dream. Asian people can dream this. Latins can't. African Americans can't dream this. This is a white dream. I do not want to ever tell anybody that you can't dream this because of your race. This is not your dream because of your gender. Okay? You can't envision this because who you were born as. You can't have this talent because you're a black female. I'm never going to tell my daughter that. I'm never going to tell my son, you can't dream that because of what you were born as. I'm never going to do that. So if you don't read my book because you don't like the fact that I'm a black woman writing a science fiction book, and you are only okay with a black woman doing a certain thing, then guess what? It's not gonna stop me from writing the books I like to write. It's not gonna stop me from chasing my dreams. And it's not gonna stop me from encouraging every human being out there to chase their dream. Do no harm. Do no harm and support each other. Meaning, my dream is not going to hurt you. Okay? I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to try and put you down. I'm not going to tell you what you allowed to dream. All I'm going to do is say, dream it big, baby. Do it big. Go big. Go big. And when you get there, go even further. In my videos and in my book and on my page, I hope that what you're seeing is encouragement. I hope that what you're seeing is encouragement to everybody out there. Okay? To the little black girl, to the little Asian girl, to the little Mexican boy. I hope that everybody out there get outside of this little box that they put you in, this little cube that they say that you're allowed to be in, that you can't be in no other. Because a Latino male is only allowed to dream this. An Asian female can only dream of this. An African American or a black woman, female, can only dream, want, and desire certain things based on my gender, based on my race, based on my age. Well, guess what? I am an African American woman in my 40s with pink highlights in my hair and a mohawk. Wow, that sentence was more was more than I. Don't nobody quote me on that one. I am an African American woman with pink highlights in her hair, in her mohawked hair, who writes science fiction books. And I am going to chase my dream into the end of this earth. I am not going to stop until I'm not on this planet anymore. And even beyond the stars, I hope you look at my videos and say, I could do whatever the hell I want to do. I will do no harm to nobody else. I will chase my dream and encourage other people to chase theirs. I hope that that's what you get out of my book. I hope that you don't judge me strictly and try to put me in one specific box and say this is what I'm allowed to do, be, see, think, and experience. I hope that you run, you dance, you jump, you sing, you draw, you fly, you do whatever it is you really desire to do. I hope that you be who you really think you are, that you go out and that you love, you experience, you hope, you dream, you feel, and that you do all these great things because they are great. And don't let anybody tell you what you actually allowed to want, dream, do, see, and feel. Because at the end of it all, when you checking out, you're not going to ever look back and say, I conformed to everything. It was great. What you're going to look back and say is, I climbed that tree. I danced that dance. I sang that song. I wrote that book. I swam that sea. And you're going to hope people remember what you did do. And when you have hopes and dreams for your children, most of the time you dream of their happiness. You dream of their success. And you dream of their talents. Very rarely do we say, I hope my children learn to conform. Most of the time, we buy them superhero capes because we want them to feel as though they can do anything, that even gravity itself cannot stop them. That's why the most popular toys in the kids section are superhero toys and Legos. Why? Because them superhero toys let them see beyond the mundane, and the Legos teach them to build and dream. I hope that you watch this video to the very end. I hope it inspires you. And I hope that if you are the type of person that puts people in boxes, I hope that you understand if you even supportively put people in a box, that is actually not supportive. That nobody, no person out there actually fits into a box. We're really not built to be put into a square box. The TARDIS is a space shuttle, a spaceship and a time machine, and it is not a square box. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that it inspired you. And I hope that it brought you to understand who I am and why I write just a little bit better. In the meantime, do it all. Dream it all. Be it all. Fight for it all. Because whatever it is you dreaming, doing, being, and fighting for is yours. And at the end of the day, you want to have completed your task. You want to have completed what it is you think you were put here to do. And I hope that you get a chance to do that. Even if you don't make it to the mountaintop, I want you to at least start the climb. You take care. Bye-bye.